Sir, still people are joining. Let us wait for just few minutes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, Rajmohan sir, video on பண்ணலாமே sir.
Chandra?
Yes, sir.
Chandra?
Yes, sir. Start பண்ணலாமா? Still now 29 has joined. இன்னும் 10 பேர் வரணும் sir.
Chandra, audible? Chandra?
சொல்லுங்க சார்.
Audible.
So, Chandramohan sir, shall we start, sir?
வந்துட்டாங்களா? All are presented?
No, sir. Still, people has to come.
Okay. At exact time you are planned 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock session will start, but today for the inauguration we are starting by 6:45.
Okay, shall we start? Okay.
Good evening, friends. Good evening to all of you who have joined here for this 2 weeks ATAL FDP on pedagogical design thinking for digital employability, which is being hosted by ALAGAPPA Institute of Management, ALAGAPPA University. At the outset, I just welcome all of you for this 2 weeks program, which will be hosted online for 1 week and offline for the next week. So, let me have the pleasure of inviting our coordinator, Dr. S. Chandramohan, to welcome the gathering at the outset, and followed by our director will be giving a brief inaugural address, which will be followed by the session. Okay. So let me now invite Dr. S. Chandramohan to welcome the gathering.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar. The most respected, our own dynamic director, registrar, Dean Faculty of Management, Dr. Rajamohan sir. Today, resource person, Shri Sridar, learned colleagues, our own department professors, and attending various faculty members from various institutions. Good evening to all. At the outset, I am really happy for welcome this FDP program sponsored by the AICTE in the name of the Pedagogical Decision Thinking for Digital Employability, organized by our esteemed institute, ALAGAPPA Institute of Management, ALAGAPPA University, Karaikudi. First of all, I wholeheartedly welcome the director, Dr. Rajamohan sir, who is considering this program, particularly the faculty development program, very useful and purposeful for the faculty members, the new era. So, on behalf of our institute, sir, I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
And today, the resource person, Shri Sridar, the well-known personality, the able administrator, control of administration, CECRI, who are immediately consenting our invitation and accepting our invitation and giving the very appropriate title, the name of the Design Thinking for Education 4.0. So, on behalf of our institute, sir, I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. At this juncture, I wholeheartedly welcome all the. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Welcome, sir. And wholeheartedly welcome all the participants from the various institutions, particularly affiliated our university colleges, professors, and other university departments and other colleges and various institutions. On behalf of our institute, as a coordinator, on behalf of you, so once again, I'll welcome you, sir, and also welcoming all the participants and our own colleagues. So wholeheartedly welcome all this great today. Today that program starting the title Decision Thinking for Education 4.0. So with this, I thank for the great opportunity and wholeheartedly thank the AST for conducting the program in our esteemed institute. So wholeheartedly thank you once again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Professor Chandramohan, sir. Before inviting our director to
Yes, we are not able to hear your voice.
sir. Actually, when we were thinking about proposing an FDP for this ATAL AICT program, it struck to our mind that today there is lots of changes in the educational scenario, and especially due to the COVID scenario. In the last 2 years, the education has taken a drastic change from physical mode to online, and there has been lots of uptrending technologies and different methods which has been used in the educational forum. And this, not only withstanding this, our Prime Minister has also come up with the National Education Policy, which is to be shortly implemented all over the nation. So this has made us to think this idea to bring out this FDP, especially which is being proposed for the ATAL AICT, and they have granted us with wholeheartedly to organize this program for the benefit of the faculty members and take forward this inputs to the students also. So, pedagogical design thinking for digital employability. This topic or this theme includes three different versions. That is, one is pedagogy, and next one is design thinking, and last one is the digital employability. So it is just how to make the students to get or to ensure their skills for digital employability through design thinking. That is the major concept behind this ATAL FDP program. So in this 2 weeks program, we'll be discussing about different topics which will be helping the faculty to design their own pedagogy as well as the course activities in order to enhance the learning of the students for digital employability and especially enhancing their digital skills. So with this idea only, we have considered this FDP program, and today we are in the verge of starting this program, and it will go 2 weeks and very experiential as well as practical. Actually, this first week will be conceptual, and because it is online, and in the second week when it is coming to offline, we have lots of case studies and practical exposures will be given in order to design their own pedagogy and also to take it forward to the institutes and all. So this is about this AICT ATAL FDP program, which we are going to organize it for this 2 weeks. So I wholeheartedly welcome all the participants who have taken interest to participate in this FDP program, and I also sincerely welcome our director who has been always supportive to us and who has been always giving lots of encouragement to organize such kind of programs. So let me invite our director and registrar in charge, Dr. S. Rajmohan, to give his inaugural address for this ATAL FDP program. Please, sir.
Thank you. Most respected convener of this program, Dr. Chandramohan, and Secretary, Professor Dr. Chandrasekhar, esteemed guest speaker, Mr. K.M. Sridar, respected faculty members and friends, very good evening. Really is a great day. Getting funds from the body like AICT and ICI, actually like UGC and ICSSR is not easy task, because we have to apply only by scrutinizing the application. See, they will give fund, and really is a great thing. See, our friends who took lot of effort and they prepared the proposal, send it to AICT, and number of people who applied for that, but very few actually have been selected by them. See, especially our friends, Dr. Chandramohan and Dr. Chandrasekhar, and their proposal were selected by the body. Really is a great thing. And Dr. Chandrasekhar rightly pointed out that we have three concepts, and the first one, pedagogy, and we have to think even see how we are making use of it. The especially digital and design thinking is concerned. digitalization, we know everyone that everywhere we started to use digitalization. For that, see, we have the concept like pedagogy and digital design thinking, another concept, and employability. When we have both, and we can have employability. This is the things you can remember. And even I don't want to say much because this is popular everywhere, and all of us using it. When you go to the bank, how bankers are using the digitalization now, because we have in the pedagogy, and we are teaching this to the children, and they are trying to make use of all the things which they learned in the classroom. That is the things we can remember. And when they become employer, especially in banks, see, they are using it. Even once how we were and how we are, even from starting from see, withdrawal or paying slip or everything, even see, have passbook, we are using the machine. And we can have digitalization how it is used. Even with regard to our university, I am very proud to say that we are number one in India, and number two in India, and number one in Tamil Nadu. And especially government of Tamil Nadu, they are encouraging us because we are using this digitalization everywhere. Even the you can have receiving a children's, just they are applying for see, they are seeking admission. For that, applying only through digitalization, we are doing all that. And even by paying money, they are getting application. And even for that, they have to use this. And admission, we are doing the same thing. And followed by that, even in the classroom, we have see, digitalization we are making in such a way. Followed by that, even see, in the examination system, we have digitalization. And when see, they have to apply for examination, and they have to get application once, and they have to fill the application, they have to give it to the control office. See, like this they have done earlier. Now it is not like this. Only through digital format, they are filling the application, sending it to them, they are paying money through that. And see, the digitalization, especially our university is concerned, it is playing vital role. And we started to use even in finance. And earlier we had only single entry system, and the government of Tamil Nadu asking us to have a double entry system. We are not popular with that. Now slowly we are using even a double entry system. See, we are using digitalization in everywhere. And with regard to insurance, we have insurance company. See, we have digitalization. And even in our day-to-day life, we are using digitalization. Even people are saying that see, now we are constructing house without kitchen, because they wanted to have food through Zomato and Swiggy, something like that. See, all that, because of digitalization, we have strength as well as weakness. Even in the digital marketing, we started with see how we are using it, and how we are see, finally, it becomes a successful story. We are using in such a way. For that, everywhere digitalization playing a vital role. Even when you want to buy any durable product, see how the product will be. Everything we can assess only through digitalization. See, really is a great thing. And I congratulate both Professors Dr. Chandramohan and Dr. Chandrasekhar. Really, they have done a great thing. Suppose there is no platform like this, we won't think at all. And he has explained that it runs about 2 weeks. 1 week it is on online, and second week it is on offline. I hope that our friends will get lot of advantages out of this program. Let me thank both of them, and let me congratulate both of them. With this, let me conclude my speech. Thank you for the opportunity, and wish you all good luck to the participant. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful words and also support. Surely, I hope that this program will be one of the remarkable achievements in our university, as well as for our department also, because it's one of this kind which is being organized through ATAL here. Uh, uh, so I thank Professor Rajmohan for his wonderful inaugural address and a very thoughtful inaugural address. Thank you, sir. And uh, I invite Shri K.M. Sridar, who is the chief guest for this session, first session of this ATAL FDP program. In order to briefly introduce about him, actually, Professor, Shri K.M. Sridar is a colleague of, or his a classmate of one of our colleague only, and I got to know him through Professor Dr. S. Chandramohan, and immediately when we contacted him for addressing in this ATAL FDP, he never hesitated and immediately consented to come over and join in online and address the gathering on this design thinking and educational for aspects. So I, at the outset, I thank him and I also wholeheartedly welcome him for this FDP program. As I said, Shri K.M. Sridar is the controller of administration in the CSIR-CECRI Central ElectroChemical Research Institute, which is in Karaikudi. He holds BSc Agriculture and MSc Biotechnology, and he has been a gold medalist in BSc Agriculture. Not only that, he holds research fellowship from DBT, CSIR, and also NET. He has cleared the CSIR NET in the year of 2008. And he has worked in different positions like area sales manager for Ranbaxy and lecturer in biotechnology of Maharaja College for Women and part-time faculty in Anna University. And he is also a JF of Agricultural University, Tamil Nadu, Coimbatore. So he has experience in different fields like HR, designing administrative practices, and consulting on administration, and also providing consultations to different educational institutions and autonomous bodies. It's a great pleasure for us to have him today for this evening session, and because he is also experienced, or he has also expertise in design thinking and in developing different pedagogical methods for education. So I hope that this session, the first session itself, will be of very interesting and very interactive, and it will be a remarkable session for all the participants who has joined here. And I request Shri K.M. Sridar to take over the forum and come up with his inputs for the next session, in this session. Okay. Shri K.M. Sridar, sir, please.
Thank you very much, sir, for introducing me. On the outset, let me pray Dr. Alagappa Chettiar, who has been the philanthropist for education, who foresee that education is the single most tool for social development of this country. Being our sister institution, I extend my heartfelt thanks for inviting me to this esteemed institution, both to the Vice Chancellor, the Registrar in charge, the convener, and the secretary of this particular program, sir. So thanks for having the confidence in me. This is my second presentation in Alagappa University, the first being the technology lecture at Bioinformatics Division. I look forward to interact more with the university. With these few words, I thank once again for giving this golden opportunity, and I start this lecture. Dear friends, digital employability is the buzzword today in all the spheres of actually. Digital employability is expected to generate around 11.5 million jobs by 2026. almost we can see that the digital employability will be a single factor which will drive our Indian economy, because it drives all the allied sectors. So in this, with this axiom, the program has been designed. I could see the objectives of the program. It is a right earnest. Alagappa University has designed this program, and really design thinking for digital employability will be a real asset for any faculty to increase the digital employability of the students. So with these few words, let me start my presentation. Sir, Chandramohan sir has to help me.
Please, sir.
Sir, tell me, sir.
I have to share my presentation. It's open. Can you?
Sir, there's a button called present now. So
Yeah,
you
I clicked the present now button. Next, sir.
Before that, you need to open the presentation in the another window, sir.
I opened the presentation in another window, sir.
And you can click present now and choose that window, sir.
Yeah, right. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So design thinking for education 4, industrial revolution 4 has become the buzzword now. And for industrial revolution 4, the digital data, it will be data analytics, data driven and data analytics driven. So in this respect, digital education has become very important. For this, the design thinking is also very, very important. Let us quickly go into the lecture. As we all know that the National Education Program 2020 aims to transform education into a complete system. A complete system means a system which encompasses all available tools, techniques, pedagogy, everything, so that the student is being taught and he learns in complete. So we know, as we know, this is a traditional situation, learning situation, where the teacher, learner, and the resource, the three participants. Now in design thinking, this is, if you see the picture, I have presented it in a singular manner. So if you see in the design thinking, this all will become plural. So there will be teachers, there will be learners, and there will be resources bound together. And let us see how the design thinking is the process goes on. Design thinking, hereafter I will refer it as DT. Design thinking is important. Why it is important? Future students will need to be adaptable and flexible, because adaptability means, for example, they have to work on cross platforms. They have to work on flexible with flexible knowledge. So the adaptability and flexibility greatly enhances the employability skills. So future students need to adapt. That's why the conventional teaching methods has to change. There may be unexpected situations faced by students due to technological changes and required employability skills. One thing, the one thing which changes at a greater pace is the technological changes. Today, C language is least preferred. Every day there is a new language coming in digital thing, and also every companies are start demanding new type of skills, because they have to get projects. For getting projects and costing, management of projects is really a tough task, and immediately the HR of the organization will be given the task of identifying the right human resource with good employability skills. So in such a situation, it is the role of the universities which create the manpower, which feed the manpower, which train the manpower, which makes the manpower to get the required skills, has to also change itself. So in this aspect, the design thinking becomes important for the faculties to get adopted, so that they can really instill in the minds of the students, whereby they have to follow this in their real work environment also. Design thinking is not only applicable in education. Primarily, it was born as a business development solution and used in marketing and all. So it is latest thing is now it is growing slowly, pervading into different spheres, and it is pervading into the education sector because of the changed needs. So design thinking ensures what are the students will have. They will have creative confidence in their abilities to adapt and respond to new challenges. First thing is this: what is the problem with most of our students is confidence. We have a set of students, say for example 40 students in a class. If you see the confidence of different students, you can do a confidence mapping of different students. You will find most of the students fall in the category of low confidence. Low confidence comes because of loss of low self-esteem and lack of knowledge or value themselves in the society. So the creative design thinking makes them participate in a process whereby their confidence and their increases, their self-esteem increases, they have the confidence in their abilities, and they adapt and respond to new challenges because more positivity is breathed in them. It also helps the students to identify and develop innovative, creative solutions to problems. Today, the world is always problems are thrown. You go to companies or anywhere, always problems are thrown. Problems are thrown even for teaching. We have to now adapt from the conventional teaching method to new teaching methods. So in that way, students will be able to innovate, provide creative solutions, and other encounter. They will become optimistic, empathetic, and active learners. The word empathetic is very key to this design thinking process. I will explain in the forthcoming slides about empathy. So the word empathy is centric to the design thinking process. So they will become active learners and contribute to solving complex challenges in education. Design thinking is born to solve complex problems. Today, the problems are not simple, either linear or non-linear. They have a different connotation, and the complexity varies with problem to problem. Each and every problem is unique. So this poses great challenges in education because we have to churn out students who are capable, who are adaptive, who have the acumen, who have the ability to learn, innovate, and adapt to the new situation. Before going to the design thinking model, we'll see what are the traditional models available. So these are there are two traditional models which are widely followed. There are many models, but two traditional models are widely used in teaching. One is the project-based learning. Here, the curricular activities are centered around a particular problem or project. So you select a particular problem, you get engaged in that problem only. It is a potentially important study narrowed down into a series of discrete activities, and the key word is student-directed learning. If you see even our medical education, if you see the syllabus of medical education in the various universities, you will find that the final outcome is self-directed learning, student-directed learning. So like that, the focus is on student-directed learning in project-based learning. This has to change for good. So design thinking is the buzzword which is going to change the student-directed learning. So the project-based learning divides a path of inquiry and production through essential guiding questions. So we ask questions and it's a path of inquiry. It's basically kind of a scientific discovery. There is another method called UBD model, understanding by design. It is similar to PBL in its use, but solving as a central learning activity, problem solving is a central learning activity. In that way, it is similar. It differs in the mostly way of evaluating the success. So educators help define the problem and developing a process of design learning with final results. So the problem is defined by educators. In both these models, the key difference between the design thinking model and this model is the problem is defined by educators in this board model. This is a keyword. So in these two slides, I am trying to impress upon that the old method, we define the problem. So the students has to look at us to the problem. So now in the new design thinking method, the students will define the problem. This is the key difference between the two models. In design thinking model, students has to define the problem because the problem is complex. A single person cannot define a problem. So the students can define a problem in a collective learning situation where the educator will help to narrow in on the problem by removing the complexities. So what are the drawbacks of the above models? In complex topics, no ready available answer is available. So these traditional models cannot address complex topics. For example, complex topics include interdisciplinary approach. For example, mathematics applied in biology. So interdisciplinary approach. So complex topics cannot be addressed by a single person because of the exponential growth of knowledge in various spheres of our science and STEM education. It is very difficult for every person to know every subject. So today's complex problems needs ability of different subjects, or you can say knowledge from different areas or different domains, I will say. So in such a scenario, the traditional teaching model has its own drawbacks, and it will not give graduates with the required employability skills, which is very key for the digital employability. Today, all the industry, there is employability skills. We know that there is a study which says that 80% of the students do not have the employability skills for higher employment in most of the software industries. So what is a design thinking model? So it's a model like the UBD and the PBL. It is also a model. It is more open-ended than other options. So if you see the earlier models, it is a close-ended model where the problem is already defined. So there is no scope for further thinking beyond the boundaries. Say boundaries are set in traditional models. In design thinking models, it's open-ended. Boundaries are not set. Boundaries are arrived actually. So boundaries are not set by the educator. The boundaries are arrived. The students help to define the problem. This is the key difference between the earlier models and these design thinking models. So the students define the problem. This is fundamental to this particular design thinking model. So in the further lectures, they will highlight this. I hope the presented people who are presenting the future topics will be able to emphasize this particular thing. So faculty has to train the students how to define the problem. This comes only it's a skill. So skill is can be achieved only by practice. So initially it will be difficult for the students to define the problem, but once the teachers have a role play as students. This is where the innovative teachers can role play as students. Some 4 or 5 teachers can role play as students, so that they can demonstrate the students how to define a problem, complex problem. So based on a generative topic that opens an area of research, for example, biocomputing or something like data analytics. Any area of research which is, for example, even in management also there can be different areas. Marketing is a real great area. Marketing behavior, market analysis. So any new area of research, innovative marketing, anything it can be. So students are encouraged to align what they produce with their broader research, because basically the knowledge of inquisitiveness in the students has to be seeded. The very exercise of making the problem defined by the student creates his inquisitiveness. That is the ability to ask questions. That is the fundamental thing in understanding thing. In cognitive skills, one of the greatest thing which psychologists say is, when your brain tries to ask different questions about a topic and find an answer by reading, the retention and the ability to process and learn the thing and take it to a higher level is very, very high, and it's a very positive approach. This is the approach which I also used for my learning methodology, where I used to ask questions about a particular topic and try to fill the answers by referring to the various materials. So this kind of teaching learning situation wherein students are able to adapt to inquisitive kind of learning has to improve, rather than rat-on learning or installing the software like a software in his mind. Because installing like a software in the mind is not going to work. Rather than he himself make a software in his mind about the thing. I think in that way it is clear. Students are encouraged to align what they produce with their broader. Assessment is related to prototyping. Prototyping is nothing but making a small model. This may be applicable in certain situations, may not be applicable in many situations. So prototyping comes only in engineering, mostly engineering, and maybe in digital employability, in digital skills, wherever coding or any new project is there, prototyping can be of this. For example, prototyping, for example, maybe a software applications we develop for handling a data of 2 lakh or 3 lakh or 4 lakh. Whereas prototyping can lead to a small application which can just test the data of a minimal sampling size. So it's prototyping. And rebuilding intent to promote creative risk taking. Risk and reward is very, very. Unfortunately, today's students do not have the ability to take risk. That's where the problem is. So until otherwise the risk taking ability is instilled in the students, they cannot go into a higher plane of thinking, or they cannot contribute much higher in their work sphere. So one of the key aspects so far we have seen in this slide is 2 things. Students must be able to define the problem. That is the first thing. Second thing is the creative risk-taking behavior of the students has to be augmented. These are the 2 things. Sir, I will go in a different way of approach, wherein I intend to create questions in between, so that enhances the teaching learning experience. So any doubts in this model? Any doubts in this model, sir? Dear participants, any doubts in this model so far? Am I clear?
Sir, yes, sir. We couldn't see the pages, sir, slides.
Couldn't see the slides.
Yes, sir. It was.
None of the slides is visible. Now you cannot see the slide. Earlier, were you able to see the slide?
We are seeing the front page only. You are not seeing some other next slides.
No, yeah. 1 minute. I have stopped the slideshow presentation. No, it was in first page only. It is not moving. 1 minute. I have stopped the slideshow presentation. No, it was in first page only. It is not moving. 1 minute. I have stopped the slideshow presentation. No, it was in first page only. It is not moving. 1 minute. I have stopped the slideshow presentation. No, it was in first page only. It is not moving. 1 minute. I have stopped the slideshow presentation. No, it was in first page only. It is not moving. 1 minute. I have stopped the slideshow presentation. No, it was in first page only. It is not moving. 1 minute. I have stopped the slideshow presentation. No, it was in first page only. It is not moving. 1 minute. I have stopped the slideshow presentation. No, it was in first page only. It is not moving. 1 minute. I have stopped the slideshow presentation. No, it was in first page only. It is not moving. 1 minute. I have stopped the slidesho
No,
We'll see only the first
no, sir,
page.
it was not moving. The first slide only was there.
Already you
First
have
slide
told me,
one.
sir. Really.
I
Only-
thought you were explaining from that itself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, maybe the presentation is off. Now, can you see the window? Now, can you see the window, sir? Can you see the window, sir?
Yes, sir. Now,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes,
can you see the
please.
second slide?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. It
Yes,
is
sir. Yes.
changing.
Sir, you-
Sir,
Can you see
you
change?
can go into presentation mode. Actually, it is in PPT file itself.
No, I have made it presentation mode now. Can you see now?
No, it is just like what to say. It is in the PPT file mode only. You can
Alright.
press F5 or you can go to the presentation.
Presentation mode. I have already in presentation mode only, sir. Now, can you see, sir? Second slide.
Yes, sir. It is okay. You can, sir. You can proceed, sir. You can now. It is moving. You can proceed, sir.
Now, is it moving? Can you see these slides, madam?
First slide, sir.
It's only in first slide. It's not in the other slide.
You need to click the next slide.
Sir, this is first slide. Can you see the second slide now?
No,
No, sir. It is not visible.
Sir, 1 minute, sir. Because I
now it is
Now
second.
it's okay.
now it is.
Yes, sir.
Now we can see. No.
Now you the presentation is cut down.
Now can you see? Now can you see?
No, sir. You stop the presentation.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Now it's visible. It's
Now,
visible.
okay.
Second slide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Now if I do the presentation, will it be visible? Let me see. Is it visible now?
Yes,
Presentation?
sir. It's okay now.
Now it's okay.
Yes, sir.
Now the slide is why DT is important, right? Sir, current slide why DT
Now
is
it
important.
is in. No, now it is in teacher, resource, and learner. That
Okay. Now it has it changed?
link.
Now has it changed, sir?
No, not it. I think the connect. Yes, sir. Now it is changing.
Now I'm doing
It is slowly
clean,
changing, sir. Please.
No, I'm now slowly in straight. I go to the PowerPoint itself. Okay. Now is it clear? So where
Yes,
the
sir. Learning
participants able
models,
to-
sir.
yeah, where the participants able to know about the various models so far. I'll share that. But before that, I want to know whether the participants were able to understand the real need for design for thinking. That is one point. Second point, what are the traditional models? And the third point is how do the DT model is different from other models? Any doubts for anybody in till this? Sir, I'm not getting. I want a more interactive while teaching itself. That is the way I engage.
Participants,
Madam,
kindly you can put in your queries or your clarifications
No,
straight
Madam
away.
said he has not understood. Let me explain once again. So design thinking is a new innovative technology wherein it is the problem of a particular problem is not defined by the faculty. The problem is defined by the student. That means we give the complexity, ask the student to define the problem. Is it clear? Madam, somebody asked the question. Is it clear, madam, to you? Madam? Is it clear? Okay, madam. So you have to interact with me. Verbal cognitive learning model. Yes. Behavioral cognitive. Very able to understand the advantages which is about why it is needed for students, how it is going to increase the employability of the students, in what way. Two things it will instill in the mind of the students. One thing is it will increase the ability to solve the problem. learning from an installing type of installing software mind to a questioning based learning, where the student will question the thing and he'll try to learn by finding answers along with the other students. This is one of the things. And it also risk taking, creative risk taking. That ability has to be imparted in students by teachers by giving simulating situations which allow the students to practice risk taking. So it is in the hands of the faculty to design methodologies, pedagogic methodologies to augment risk taking ability in students. This is what lacking in most of our Indian students. As I get feedback from my classmates who are abroad, they always say that our students lack the risk taking ability. So those who greater risk, greater rewards, but the risk is also calculative. So that particular mindset has to come to students. This is a very essential part of creative thinking. So far, is it clear? Anybody who is which is not clear up till now? Anything which is not clear up till now? So shall I proceed? Shall I proceed, sir?
Sir, please proceed. Continue, sir.
Okay.
You can proceed, sir. Your presentation is not
sure,
visible
sir.
now.
Not visible now. Yeah, I know.
Sir, shall I share it from here?
Yeah, you can share it from there. Can I able to control that? I'll say next slide. Okay, you can drag it.
Yes, I will.
Sorry for the participant that I'm not used to Google Meet.
Okay. Okay, sir. I will share it shortly, sir.
Now, till then, I'll just go by the. Now, is it visible? Wait 1 minute. Now is it visible? Sir, now is it visible?
Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
So this is the design thinking model. So it is more open-ended. Students define the problem. They are encouraged to align with the broader research questions. Assessment is related to prototyping and rebuilding to promote creative risk-taking. So prototyping, once again, I will explain down. So we can go to the next thing. So design thinking process as such, what is it? It's a cognitive thought process where the different cognitive abilities of different people come into play together to finally, ultimately find the solution. So the cognitive skills of the teacher, the cognitive skills of the students, all the participants are put into use. Simultaneously, their cognitive skill also develops because it's a practice. It's an educational model. We saw that. It's also a teaching strategy. It is a systematic approach. It's a learning process. It is a dexterous approach because we have to spend enough time, physical activity. It's a robust process. It promotes the search for many possible solutions. Actually, in classroom teaching, we don't train students for more possible solutions. In design thinking, since the learning is open-ended, so there are more possible solutions. Sometimes the solutions may look funny also, but we have to encourage that mindset of students to find solutions. So we should not restrict the students' mind by putting any 144. So I request all the faculties. This is what we have also seen in brainstorming and all with our students in BTech students in our university, our Central ElectroChemical Research, where students are allowed to say whatever they want on a particular problem. So it actually promotes their cognitive process of thinking. Maybe the solutions, possible solutions may look absurd, but it develops that skill. So ultimately, they get refined as they are rightly guided by the faculty and as they start practicing the exercise. So the key aspect of design, once again, I'm highlighting, faculty do not define the problem, but should define a scope. The faculty gives a broad scope. If somebody steps out of an area, the boundary, what the football coach does, he says he allows the student to play within a particular boundary. So it is a predefined boundary. Let us have it as a scope. If somebody goes out of the scope, then the referee comes into play and redirects it. That way, the role of a faculty should always be to define a scope, but not a problem. So the scope of the problem can be defined by the faculty. Defining the actual problem is part of the student's responsibility. What happens in our today's research setup, most of the problems are defined by the guides. Students, if they come with some problem, then we simply discourage it. This attitude should rightly go. So if students come with a real new problem, we should always give scope for them to innovate. So if they come with a problem, their brain will innovate. If we give a problem, then definitely they will look for every part of it from us only. It will be an extension of our mental ability instilled on the student. So future learning through design thinking should shed this particular attitude and should move towards a student-centric problem identification. So if the students should be asked to identify problems, then only tomorrow they will become better faculties, better employable, skilled workers. Where it will be useful? It will be useful in very complicated situations. Complicated situations are situations which cannot be annotated or which cannot be foreseen. So it's a situation which arises due to uncertainty or risk or various other compelling factors. So in complicated situations, design thinking becomes, because we have to find, suppose suddenly there is a impending war by 3 countries on India. What India will, there is a complicated situation. We cannot do anything. So what they will do, they will sit and brainstorm how to avoid. Many people will be called across the board. Everybody will present his views. Consultants will be called. So that is a process where they identify the problem, what is the problem, and try to find solution. It's kind of a thing. So brainstorming is also key to design thinking. And when the problem is multifaceted, for example, problem solving needs approaches from mathematical approaches, management approaches, other scientific approaches, computational approaches. So when the problem is multifaceted, then design thinking is the only answer, because nobody is knowledgeable in all subjects. Transdisciplinary topics, as I said, transdisciplinary topics are topics which engage more than one discipline. So such topics also design thinking is implemented. Entrepreneurial minded organizations, mostly this is in business, since it is born in the business environment, this design thinking for solutions, innovative solutions for marketing problems. This is most of the companies, Apple, Google, Nike, etc. They use design thinking. So if we practice our students for design thinking in this process, our students get a good employability in this type of software organization, because software organization want such a kind of thinking. They want such kind of students who can define problems, who can participate in brainstorming, who can define a solution, who can prototype, and who can really view the deliverables with the desired quality. So far, is there any doubt, sir? Any doubt so far? Dexterous approach is a physical approach. Suppose you want to make a prototype or an experiment, you have to physically do things. Dexterity is nothing but hands. If you use a single hand, both hands, we call it as ambidextrous. Dexterity is nothing but a physical strength. So in many of the projects, not only brain, it also hands together, hands-on experience. So in such a scenario, we have to use the physical activity also. So many of the laboratory experiments, we need a physical activity. So that says that dexterity. Is it clear, madam? So since it is clear, I am continuing to the next slide. So far, we have summed up what is design thinking. We have seen how design thinking is different from traditional models. Then we have seen what is the key difference between design thinking and other way of thinking, which is from the educator defining the problem to a student defining the problem. Then we saw what is the design thinking process. Then we finally saw what the educator should do in the he should define the scope, and what the student should do, he should define the problem. So now I proceed to the how it is different from traditional approaches. Once again, I want to re-emphasize, because this is key to understanding, because we are more soaked in traditional approaches of teaching. Suddenly changing to a design thinking approach becomes challenging for the faculty also. So it is, I am reiterating, it is also a part of design thinking. Reiteration is also a part of design thinking. So I am trying to reiterate the entire difference between traditional approach and design thinking approach. We have to come out of the certain mind. In traditional approach, conceptual understanding the theory is given more importance. What we do in our classroom, normally we teach the theory to the students, try to instill the concept in the student's mind and make him think further for his self-development or self-learning. That is a self-directed learning approach. We demonstrate the skills by practical and problem-solving methods. We demonstrate them. For example, if there is an experiment, the teacher demonstrated the experiment and asked the students to practice. It is a topically focused with linear capacity. This is one of the key difference between design thinking and other models. In design thinking, it is a non-linear capacity. We don't know what is the capacity. It is not linear at all. It is non-linear. It is multi-dimensional. So this is linear and single dimensional, where a particular concept alone is built. So the solutions are within expected range. We want the students, for example, if there is a pathway or a cycle, we want the student to remember the pathway or cycle. So that is the expected range. But there is no expected range in a design thinking approach. See, it is an explorative design through exploration. Earlier days, the big scientists have practiced, like Tesla, Einstein, all these they have followed through exploration only. Because of their exploratory knowledge only, they are able to design new concepts and contribute to science. So they are already design thinking is not new. It has already been practiced, but it's now only clearly defined and the process has been clearly elucidated. Research questions that defy simple explanations are right or wrong answers. So there will be research questions which defy simple explanations. So in these cases, the design thinking approach is unique, where the questions will be more asked whether we don't know whether it is right or wrong, whether we have answers or we don't have answers. This also it is not possible while doing the process of design thinking. So it goes for stages and stages of reiteration and refinement until you land in the right problem with the right solution. The learners define the problem and find innovative solutions. This is key. The faculty are facilitators and advisors. So from a teacher learning, teacher, inspirer, we are moving to a role of facilitators and advisors. Is it clear? What role we are going to play in a design thinking approach, my dear faculty members? Somebody can interact with voice because I'm unable to see the screen. I'm just only able to see the slide which I'm sharing. Is it clear? The mindset of us has to change from a traditional teacher to a facilitator as an advisor. That means what we have to do. Well, that means what we have to do. Practically, our ego levels with students has to come down. Practically, our ego levels as a teacher-student relationship is being redefined in this particular teaching approach. That is key. I want to make to the faculty that our ego levels has to come down. Absolutely.
Of course, sir, because today the students are well-fledged with lots of knowledge with the help of social media and all.
Yeah.
So today teachers has to be very much friendly, make a friendly approach in order to teach and get to them understand lots of things.
Sir, in my experience, I have seen students always respect teachers who are high in knowledge plane. If teachers have knowledge and have a very good teaching methodology, whereby teachers are attracted, we know that in school we get attracted to teachers who teach a subject. We like a subject because the teacher has taught us well. Some people like history very much. May not be a valuable subject.
Yes, sir. But now we have to transform the teaching methods. That is the need today.
Absolutely right. That's what I always remember. Every teacher, my teacher used to say, every teacher is unique. Every teacher is unique in her own pedagogy. There is no set of standard pedagogy for teaching of a different concept in different type of pedagogy. Every teacher is unique. That's why the blackboard will survive whatever digital employability, whatever digital skills, whatever design thinking approach, whatever may come. The blackboard will ultimately survive either as a whiteboard or as a blackboard. So this I always tell in forums wherever I address these things. So up till what we have understood is we have to throw away our traditional approach towards teaching. We have to come with an open mindset, clean slate in our mind, that we are going to be facilitators and advisors. We are going to teach students, simulate situations where we teach the students to define how to find a problem in a particular complex situation. How we are going to mitigate the students thinking of not taking risk. That means we are going to train the student to take more risks. Higher the risk, higher the rewards. We always teach in management. Higher the risk, higher the rewards. So the same thing has to come in teaching also. The risk-taking ability of the student has to improve. The moment we throw away the traditional teaching approaches and move to a different teaching approach, you will see the students' participation also increasing. Initially, the students may find it difficult to do it, but it is. I will tell a situation in a traditional hospital, leading hospital, how this approach is used. Then you will understand. It is also a part of medical learning. Suppose there is a complicated operation which is not defined in the medical textbooks. What immediately they have a board, medical board. All the people from endocrinologist, anesthesiologist, general medicine, every other 19 disciplines of the medicine will sit together. They will start brainstorming in how to do it. So they will identify the problem based on whatever they have having, the data they are having, and they will design and finally conclude an approach and implement it. This is a typical example for a design thinking approach. Is it clear? Anybody unable to understand or comprehend this particular situation? This is a classical example of a design thinking approach in medical education, where a complex surgery, nobody knows, the surgeon doesn't know what to do, the gastroenterologist doesn't know what to do, the general medicine. So it is, you know, that the whole thing has to be discussed by the entire medical different disciplines and come to a protocol where which will be employed on the patient for a successful operation. This is a design thinking approach because they have designed a particular thing by participative approach. Basically, design thinking is a participative approach where the students participate to identify the problems, the teachers participate to facilitate as advisors too, because they give the knowledge. If the students constantly goes wrong, he say this will not come. Only you have to. PPT is not visible, sir. I have not shared the PPT. I am just talking. PPT is only for reading. This is I wanted to have as an interactive learning session to design ourselves what we are going to do. This is also a design thinking approach. We are designing ourselves what we are going to do in new pedagogy. Okay, I'll just go to the next slide. So it gives you linked learning experiences, collaborative exercises, and creative problem solving. Hands-on experience is focused on real-world challenges. This is where the physical dexterity comes, as one of the madams pointed out that what is the physical dexterity? The hands-on experience. So based on design thinking approach, it will lead to the following competencies: critical thinking skills. This is what if you see the CBSE National Education Framework or anything, today we want to instill the ability to critical thinking. Critical thinking ability is key for any student. It has become an testing skill. In most of the jobs they take for test for the critical thinking skills. Also reflective learning, adaptability will be increased, and effective learning also will be increased. Collaboration and systems thinking will be brought into place. Why collaborative and system thinking is very important is today in any software industry it is only a teamwork. Any project consists of a team. If the students are trained in design thinking approach, they will try to collaborate in teams because they are practiced by collaborative exercises. So as they start practicing from the learning situation itself, it will be carried forward in their employment also. Thereby, for them to adapting to a team-based work environment will be very, very easy. So the model has 5 different steps. This is assigned date. It may undergo a lot of changes. So I'm trying to explain the model. So this is a very basic model which has 5 different steps. First thing is discovery. So discovery is nothing but a problem definition. How the problem is defined and what are the phases, we will see one by one. First thing is discovery. So we are trying to discover discover the problem. Second thing is ideation. They interpret the problem, create and make a solution. Then we experimented with the prototyping, testing, and evaluation methods. This is where the thing is there clear. If the interpretation, if the student is not able to interpret, the faculty will, with his knowledge, will try to interpret it. Train the student to interpret, create and make the solution. Experimentation, prototype, he will also guide in making the prototype. Students will be trained. If it fails, again we'll go and see, analyze what is the reason for failure. So iteration and reiteration process during all these steps are very important in towards iteration and reiteration is very, very important in this model. Because if a particular steps, we go back again to the original step. Again and again, we go back and try to clear whatever the failing. So we learn from a lot of failures, try to build a success from failures. That is always the traditional method which taught us in original discoveries. Thomas Alva Edison failed 999 times to make the bulb. So he went and again he iterated, he reiterated, and finally he was successful. The same approach we will be following here. Of course, the time element is very important. Time element plays a key role. So in traditional academic calendar, it becomes very difficult for integrate the design thinking. This is one of the key challenges which I will be telling you at the end, why it is difficult for the faculties to move from a traditional approach to a design thinking approach. And again, evolution, rethink, remake, and repeat for validity. And again, deployment, where it consists of it. So every particular this model, the 5 major steps contain additional sub-steps. So that we'll be seeing in a nutshell. Is it clear? Anybody has any doubts in this now, the steps of model? Anybody has any doubts? Anybody unable to follow? This is participatory learning. I also learned from you. You have doubts. Anybody, any doubts so far? So far, anybody, any doubts? Actually, we need to break in at 7:45. 10 minutes break, no? Sir? Chandramouli, sir.
Yes, sir.
Chandramohan, sir.
Yes.
We have to break now?
We can break for 10 minutes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let us break the monotony for 10 minutes. Meantime, we can sort out this slide problem. So we are breaking the 10 minutes. We are joining by 8.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Hello.
Hi, sir.
No sound. We didn't hear your voice. I don't know what is
Can you
going.
hear me?
Nearly 10 minutes, nothing. We didn't hear.
Can you hear me? Your voice at 10 minutes. There was a tea break. Can you hear my voice, sir?
Yes, now.
Shall we start?
Manikam sir. Hello, Manikam sir. Actually, the schedule is just we have a 10 minutes break in between the session. Okay. Because since it goes till 9, we have to have a 10 minutes break in between.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay.
All faculty know
Okay.
the tiredness of fatigue of listening steps at the
Yes,
40
sir.
minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. So having seen the model where there are 5 steps: discovery, discovery, ideation, experimentation, evolution, and deployment. So we'll see in detail what are these things. So discovery consists of 3 things: empathy, research, and problem definition. So empathy I will cover in the next slide. Before that, we will define and understanding the what is it. What is it is the question we will ask. What is the problem? What is it? It is a fundamental discovery for discovery. There is a question. We know that how, what, why, where. So these questions are very key to this particular learning, particular type of design thinking. So three W's: why, what, how, where. So these things are. One is review of literature. We know this traditionally we are used to this type of research problems where review of literature is important. Review of literature is nothing but existing knowledge. Discussion with the experts, observation of the physical environment. This is very key in the design thinking process. Students should observe the physical environment. Maybe in management situations, but in management education, this may be very, very useful, especially in behavioral sciences. Observation of the physical environment is to understand the complexity of the problem. Very, very important. The information generated should be aligned with the coursework. So whatever course we are doing, the information generated by physical observation or discussion with the review of literature should be aligned with our coursework. So because the problem we are doing is for our coursework, which we are getting trained. So the teams organize, interpret, and make sense of data to define a problem and the scope. So the problem is defined by the student and the scope is designed by the, again and again I'm reiterating, the problem is defined by the student, the scope is designed by the facilitator, advisor of the faculty. Who is that advisor? So a good problem statement has to be made and it should be human-centered. The very critical thing is for this design-centered approach is it should be human-centered. So it should be broad enough for a creative freedom. Creative freedom is nothing that the creativity should not be restricted. Students should have the freedom to be creative in whatever manner possible so that you get the best possible ideas and refine them, narrow them, refine them, subject to them to the first principles of the subject, and then try to, because until you narrow down to the problems to the first principles of a particular subject, you cannot find a solution. If sometimes a new principle also may be made based on the observation, we don't know, it may lead to new innovations also. It should be narrow enough to be manageable. This is key in discovering stating the problem. So the problem should be defined by the student based on the 4 things: review of literature, discussion, observation of the physical environment, and information generated with the aligned course. So they will define the problem and the teacher will define the scope based on the problem. So the good problem statement should be human-centered. It should be broad enough for a creative freedom, and it should be narrow enough to be manageable. Because too much of a problem, bigger problem, which is definitely not manageable in size, will lead to chaos. So this is the key where the faculty or the facilitator plays a role to narrow enough the problem by having his open thinking, at the same time applying his knowledge and skill which he has acquired during his experience and expertise. So what is empathy? This is key to the design thinking process. This is where empathy is nothing but seeing in other, literally it means seeing in others' shoes. How to become empathetic in life? It is generally applicable for life also or any teaching learning situation. You get closer to the people consistently, publicly, and with conviction. These 3 things are very, very, we should have the conviction to go close to the people consistently and publicly. Listen more. We have to listen more and talk less. That way we can observe people and find what is their behavior. So we have to immerse ourselves in others' experience. That is very, very important. So when we know what is others' experience, then we can identify what is the real problem. Really, if we have a thinking like a student, how the student will feel, because the class is so diverse that the knowledge levels, the perception levels, the cognitive levels totally differs from one student to another student. So the very, very critical for the teacher to empathize each and every student. So if there are 40 students, we have to empathize 40 students. That becomes a big problem for the teacher, and the patience is key in this environment. Of course, When we start moving with students, we will be able to identify the behavior and we also empathize them natural as a natural behavior. But what I want to emphasize is we have to get more closer to the people, find out consistently and publicly, not in private, so that we can understand their public behavior with conviction. We have to have a beginner's mindset and use all our senses. Basically, we have to circumspect, see all around with a beginner's mind. And we have to leave ourselves and feel the lived reality. This is why. So we have to leave ourselves. We should not have prejudices. Leave ourselves means we should not have prejudices about any student. We should feel lived reality and observe in the real sense what he is doing, what he is thinking, how he is thinking, what is his cognitive levels, and try to support him by improving upon his skills, whatever cognitive skills are, reading skills, knowledge skills, risk-taking skills, everything. So we have learned different techniques in our pedagogy to improve upon these things. So all these pedagogical techniques has to be applied to empathize the student. We have to understand the implicit needs. That is very, very important. To understand the implicit needs, we have to pick up body language very much. So the implicit needs of the student has to be understood, and root causes of the situation in which we work also has to be documented. So we have to find the root cause of the problem, what are the implicit needs, and how we are going to arrive at the needs. So basically, we have to come out of our closeted mindset. Basically, we have to come out of our closeted mindset. Is it very clear? So empathy is what we see in others' shoes. We have to come out of our closeted mindset. We have to remove ourselves and see in other situation. We have to observe. We have to talk less and observe more. Observe body language. In any communication, we know that body language is more than 55%. Verbal communication is only 25%. Tone and tenor rest. So this is what is empathy. Empathy is the first process. Otherwise, our ego levels will not come down. When we empathize for the students, then we try to strengthen their skills. Is there any doubt in this for anybody? Empathy, any doubt? Professors, faculties, any doubt in empathy? Can anybody say what are the pedagogical skills for capturing a lack of cognitive skills, improving the cognitive skills of students pedagogically? Can anybody say me? Enlighten me. What are the pedagogical skills we can use to improve the cognitive skills of our students?
Sir, we can improve their skills.
Practice, practice, practice. Hard work, hard work, hard work. Repeat, repeat, repeat.
Yes,
Absolutely, train them. It's like a war. A person who has to have the skill means he has to get trained himself. So the more number of, for example, scientists have found out that if we want to become a master in a particular subject, we have to continuously learn it for 500 hours. We have to spend minimum 500 hours to get an experience of the subject. If we want to become an expert in a subject, we have to spend 1,500 hours. This is the time. Time is the essence in things. So you know how much patience the faculty has to. People see teaching as a small job. The public sees teaching as a very easy job, as a very small job. It's a white collar job, but nobody understands the difficulties. If really the teaching is done, how difficult it is to bring the students on a particular trend, develop them, and contribute to society. It is my teacher used to say, a scientist can only make inventions, but a teacher can create 100 scientists. That is the power of a teacher. So the teaching is a great profession. Unfortunately, I am not blessed with that. I am blessed only with the part-time teaching. Anyway, fine. Let us continue. The screen sharing. I move to the next slide. So ideation. Ideation is nothing but the idea. What if? Interpret, create, and make. Students interpret their research into a range of creative ideas and potential solutions. They give creative ideas for the problems identified within the scope and also define potential solutions. The solutions may be right or wrong. That's a different issue. The idea should be creative. It is not it is the original idea given by them. Initially, the students may find it tough, but once they start practicing, then their entire mental faculty will open up for this particular creative thinking. When creative thinking sets in, then follows by critical thinking. So we are, as a role of instructors or facilitators, what are the things we have to do in design thinking? We have to encourage enthusiasm. We have to create a positive vibe environment in the design teaching learning situation, whereby students are enthused to participate in this approach. A collaborative participation by incorporating active learning methods. Active learning methods has to be implemented. Visualization techniques of systems thinking should be. This is a theory on design thinking. Do not give much importance. Only thing is we have to enthusiasm, ensure collaborative participation, or each and everyone is participated, give equal importance in the situation to every student, encourage them even for a bad idea, not a problem. We have to make them visualize. Visualizing the problem, visual memory is what we are today lacking in today's understanding. When we use the visualization technique, our right brain gets activated. So right brain is more for visualization, left brain is more for reasoning, as we know. So when the right brain activity is initiated, more visualization comes into play, and both the hemispheres of the brain interact much better and give a better creative thinking ability. So we have to suggest practices to enhance the solutions and temper expectations, because it is an enthused environment where you are also participating, reducing your ego levels, encouraging everybody. There will be a temper of expectation, overjoyed student, over enthusiasm will set in. So that teacher has to moderate everything in the situation and temper the expectation of the students. Because every student, when he creative thinks, he will think his idea is the best that has to be implemented. This is the challenge in this particular approach, where every student comes with a viable solution. He feels that it's a viable solution. He says his solution has to be adopted. So the role of the facilitator is to always keep the group thinking, not as an individual centric solution. It comes as a group, make everybody agree to a particular solution or a range of solutions, and then put it to test. So we have to focus on expectations. So design begins with a narrow range of possible solutions. This is a very key for any teaching learning situation in this approach. The narrow range of possible solutions has to be identified and accepted by both the facilitator as well as the students. Once this is identified, we go into the next step. So so far we have seen two steps: discovery and ideation. Discovery steps helps to identify the problem and the scope, and also to set the narrow range of problems. And ideation creates an environment where we come to a narrow range of possible solutions for the particular problem. Am I clear? Am I clear up to this? Is my summary clear? Anybody? Right. I go to the next slide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is my summary clear of this particular thing? Ideation. Is there any doubts in this? In this approach, we will encourage enthusiasm. We will create a positive environment in the teaching learning situation, whereby students throw their what we will say, the lethargicity, their wandering mind, everything, and they get occupied in the problem. So when the mind gets occupied in the problem, their cognitive skills will open up for the solving the problem by agreeing. The young minds are the most vibrant area for new solutions. So a collaborative participation where everybody is made equally important. This is one of the key in design thinking approach. Because the students will not be same at their level of thinking or level of knowledge. So a student with a very, very good knowledge will try to dominate the entire situation. So it is our role to temper such students and encourage the laggards to come to the level and have a unique, same range among all. So everybody equally thinks and accepts to the solutions. So visualization is very, very important, where we have to train the students to visualize the particular problem. Visualization is very, very important. Until, for example, in code writing for any project, visualization is very, very important. Project abstraction, very, very important, where we have to visualize how the data will flow. For example, data flow is very, very unique in any data management software. So the programmer has to visualize. So until he practices in his education, he cannot have that visualization ability. It becomes very difficult. It has to be practiced from young age. That's why we call the ATAL education in the United States much focused on these visualization techniques, where students are made to visualize. For example, if somebody wants to read about a city, Rome, so he has to take a virtual tour of Rome, so that he have that visualization. His mind is visualized that Rome has these palaces. It's like the history is like that. So visualization techniques play an important role to instill the right brain activity, which is key for the left brain activity. The hemispheres has to interact. It is cognitively proved in medical science that when two hemispheres of the brain interact, the right and left brain interact much, definitely the output is going to be very, very high.